Right, looks like we're live. Right, hi everybody. Welcome to the second edition of Undone and Remade, our panel discussion between students and alumni of the Fashion, Media and Marketing degree programme at Plymouth College of Art. My name's Millie Brown. I'm the Joint Programme Leader of Fashion, Media and Marketing. And today we're going to focus on the transition into the final year of degree study. So I'm going to ask our alumni panel to introduce themselves, who they are, their names, and kind of what they do, what projects they're working on at the moment. So yeah, Ella, start with you.
Yes, I'm Ella and I'm brand coordinator of Aless, like the sportswear brand. So at the moment, what are we up to? We're just kind of sorting out launch for all the spring summer stuff coming up. And then we're just organising all the social media bits because I hope everyone is following Aless social media and keeping up to date with all the competitions. That's just what I've been up to lately.
So I'm Georgia and I'm a marketing assistant at the Range, which is a big homeware retailer. I'm not doing anything at the moment because I'm on furlough, but just waiting to go back to work and live my best life.
Hi, my name's Jemima and I work in the brand team at Plymouth College of Art, and I do all things communications and CRM, and I'm also the founder of Elan Lingerie.
Yeah, so I'm Poppy. I'm a content creator. At the minute, I'm not doing a lot, but I'm working on a collage a day project where I make really weird little collages, and I'm also working on issue 2.5 of my little magazine thing, which I did for my FMP. So I'll run you through all that later. But yeah, so trying to keep busy.
I'm very busy and I look forward to the new issue of Tart magazine.
Yeah, should be good. We'll see.
Excellent. Well, lovely, thank you, Poppy. So I'm going to now hand over to Molly and Natalie. They are two second-year fashion, media and marketing students, and they're going to chair the meeting and ask the questions. So over to you, girls. Thanks very much.
So my first question is for Poppy, followed by Georgia, which is, how did you prepare for your final year? Thank you.
So my final year was actually quite weird. So over this summer before third year, I started on my Tart zine thing with my friend. And it was just sort of like a little passion project to start with. Like, we were both working really uncreative jobs and we were like, let's do something fun. So we made like a little zine and it got really good reception and everything. And I loved doing it. And then so I sort of just like fell into my FMP from that. And so obviously I'd spent the whole summer sort of doing this like first issue, which was like prep work for my like final project and stuff. So I spent, loads and loads of time doing that really. And yeah, it's hard to explain because I sort of just fell into mine really. And I sort of had ideas that I wanted it to be my final major project, but nothing really like concrete. And so, yeah, I just spent like loads of time researching and experimenting with different things, and it all sort of came together in the end, really. It was like a really specific situation. So, yeah, I don't want to go a bit and then I'll think of something else to say.
Yeah, so similar to Poppy, I did a magazine, and over the summer I did a lot of the content for the online platform that went with the magazine. But the main thing I did to prepare was I knew I needed loads and loads of contributors for like the website and the magazine, all the writing and stuff, because I wasn't going to do all that myself. It was going to be so much work. So I just made a little kind of database of all the people that I needed to contact and all the people I knew who would be really reliable in writing and creating content. So when it came to later in the year, I wasn't panicking about like who was going to write things for my magazine and who was going to help me with the website, because I already had those contacts in place. So I think, yeah, if you know that your final major project is going to need a lot of contributors this summer, or like the first semester maybe is the first like kind of point to really get those contacts in. But yeah, that was massively helpful for me.
Cool. So this question's for Jemima, and it is, what tips and advice would you give for building your third year portfolio?
So for me, it would be, my biggest tip would be, don't shoot yourself in the foot and pick something that you know you're not going to be able to see through the whole year. You're going to be working on this, you're going to be, doing it morning, noon and night. So you need to be really passionate about it. I remember when we were kind of phasing into year 3, and I felt like all of my classmates knew what they were going to be doing and they had a great strong idea. And I remember going to tutorials with Millie and just saying, I don't know what I'm doing. It's 2 months into third year. I feel really lost. But the kind of how I came about doing my sort of FMP, my final project, I kind of used what was going on in my personal life. My mum actually was diagnosed with cancer in my 3rd year, and I actually used that personal experience, and I took that and made a brand out of it, and that's how Elan Lingerie was created. So I think my tip would be really to play to your strengths and sort of think about what you're passionate about and see where this might take you after your 3rd year, because you never know whether this might actually become your career, which I'm hoping it will be for me. Yeah, that's what I would say. Definitely play to your strengths.
Jen, sorry, can I just come in? Can you just overview the company that you've set up?
Yeah, so Elan Lingerie is going to be post-surgery and mastectomy bras for women who've had surgery for breast cancer. So in my 3rd year, my mum had a mastectomy, and after that, she really struggled to find attractive and feminine bras that she felt good in. And we were kind of looking around the shops and looking online, and there just isn't really anything that is stylish or fashionable for women who've had this sort of surgery, which is such a shame because unfortunately it's a very large market. See, that's not necessarily a good thing, but when you're setting up a brand, I think it's important to think about where are the gaps, where are customers being let down. So that's kind of the basis for Elan Lingerie. So yeah, I started that in my 3rd year, and I built the brand up, and we sort of set up the website. There was a brand book, and I kind of went through the customer journey and how that would look. And actually, I'm using a lot of the research that I did 4 years ago to kind of influence what I'm doing now. So I'd really say research like crazy, because you never know when you might need it.
That's great, thank you. Molly, do you want to ask a question?
Ella, how was your internship experience, and what advice would you give about getting one? Because we're all struggling with that, I think, a little bit.
So my internships, I've had like quite a few internships. I've definitely put my finger in all the different pies when it comes to internships. But obviously the one that stands out the most was one I actually got for in 2nd year of FMM, which was we had like a competition with a brand called Red or Dead that has like glasses and Specsavers and like shoes in shoe. And they had a competition going to like revamp their brand, and we all entered it, and I was fortunate enough to win it. So I went down for a month and had an internship with them. And my advice is to just be like really, really nice, really, really like open to everyone, because you never know where it can lead. Because so then in 3rd year, I'd like kept in contact with them. So then they invited me back once like uni had finished. And then through that, I was able, because they're owned by Pentland, who also own like LS. So then I was managed to like just like cling on to Pentland for like ages. And then I was like, one day LS had like an event on, and they were like, oh, like we need just as many hands as you can get. And I was like, I'll go down, like I'll give it a go. And then like now I'm like working with them. So my advice was just to be like super friendly to everyone. Any opportunity, just like go for it. And like you never know where you can like lead. Because I literally, after like a week of working for LS, I was just like, so is there any like jobs going on? And they were like, yeah, there's like some stuff coming up. And I was like, yeah, just clinging on to Pentland for like dear life.
But I guess it's sort of like all about networking then, would you say, like getting to know as many people as possible and just being like getting loads of contacts and
yeah, definitely. Just like go and like talk to like everyone. And I think don't underestimate the beauty of being like a student, because it's just like your whole pass to just go do like, I'm a student, like is there anything that like I can do? Or like I'm a student, when it's just like, oh, I'm just some person, like can I come do this? Like the word student is so powerful, and people will just be like looking to help you. So I'd definitely say like utilize being a student, because then you can be like, oh, like I'd love to come do this, like I'm a student, and people are like, oh yeah, like come on down. People are so eager to help when you're a student. They definitely utilize that in like an internship, 100%.
That's great, Ella. It's really pleasing to hear you had such a positive experience about internships. And I think, yeah, yours, because we did a live project, didn't we, with Red or Dead, and then and that's how you got your internship. And then obviously you shone there and had that, you know, have this relationship with your employer. But then also we then did a live project with Aless the following year, didn't we?
Oh yeah, with Aidan.
Yeah.
He was up there when I was there, and nice to have a little buddy.
Yeah. So that's great. So that's a really nice sort of tie up. And also what I'd say to students as well is these guys here, you know, you're now getting to know some of our alumni. Use them. These people could be part of your network as well. Yeah. Sorry, just had to say that. So, Natalie, have you got a question about folios or?
I've just done the portfolio one. But I guess this could tie into the internships, and we'll start with Ella. This is for Ella, Jemima, and Georgia. But how did you decide what you wanted to focus on in your final year?
So in my final year, much like most of my other alumni, it started off in second year with a zine. We all love a zine in second year. And it was just like, I just was kind of, because I think like everyone in first year, I was really not too sure like what I wanted to like do in like fashion. And I was kind of like, oh, and I feel like fashion, there's like a bit of pressure to be like, oh, like super serious, like high fashion, like da. But then I just kind of wanted to get like a bit like crafty and like a bit like creative with it. So I feel like any of like my FMM will know the story of like lobster roll and like how I just got like really, really crafty and creative. And I really took that idea and carried it on into like third year. Because I feel like, again, the beauty of being a student is that you can kind of be like as crazy and as crafty as you want in third year, and you have that like safety net that's like, go do whatever you want, like be super crazy, like really, really push yourself, because in like the working world you don't get that like luxury so much. So it's definitely why I decided to go a bit more adventurous. I think at one point I was doing like a photo shoot with like gherkins, and it all just got a bit weird. But it's all just like good.
I'll never forget coming into the FMM room, Ella, and you were having that photo shoot. I could smell vinegar very strongly, and it was coming from you under the table, yeah, with gherkins.
Yeah. I was just under that table with a sheet and trying to stick gherkins onto fairy lights, and it was like one of those points where you look at your life and you're like, "What am I doing?" Like, it was all good fun. Like, I definitely suggest it to everyone. It's like in third year, just go a bit crazy, because like you're an art student, like get a bit crazy on it. Like that's what you're allowed to do.
Cool, thank you. Your stuff is crazy, but it's amazing. I just want to say. Can we go on to Georgia now?
I did my internships in second year in PR and digital marketing. So when I was going into third year, I was like, okay, I'm going to do I think I planned to do like a digital marketing agency. I'm pretty sure that was what my proposal was on. And I was set on it all through the summer. And then it got to the end of the summer and I was like, I love writing, and writing isn't anywhere in my final major project. So I completely like scrapped that idea and decided to do my digital platform, which obviously incorporated writing, and it had a marketing campaign with it. So I think my advice would be to kind of, if you're not sure what you want to do, think about what you love doing. So obviously for me, that was like the writing, but also think practically about what you want for your career as well, if you know what that is. So I knew I wanted to go into a career in marketing, but I also wanted to actually have fun with my final major project. And sometimes it's hard to kind of mix just marketing with fun. You want to like add in some photography or some styling or writing or other bits. So yeah, just think practically, but also think about the fun, a bit like Ella said as well.
Cool. And Jemima, I know you've sort of answered this, but did you know you wanted to go into that general area, or was it because of what happened with your mum?
Yeah, I don't know if Millie remembers this, but I also did an extended diploma at Plymouth College of Art as well. So I ended up being there for 5 years. And I remember Millie teaching me a little bit in my last year of my ED. And I actually set up another brand as my final project in ED, and it was called Apparel and Grace. Obviously now I would definitely not go with that. But 16, 17-year-old me thought that was a great idea. But so I've always been really interested in setting up brands and branding and everything that kind of comes under that umbrella. So photography, logo design, website design, I just love stuff like that. So throughout the degree that I did, I felt I always excelled in the branding modules. So we worked really closely with Finisterre, and I absolutely loved doing the brand book for them, doing the brand onion and all that kind of thing. And so when I was obviously stuff happened with my mum, which kind of inspired my idea. But what I really reflected on is what I was good at throughout my degree programme. You really need to be on top form in your third year and be doing the things that you are really good at, really passionate about, and that will see you through that whole year. And I just felt that setting up a brand would kind of encapsulate everything that I love to do. And it was, really successful. So I would definitely advise just reflect back on what you've done so far, what you've loved, and you'll definitely be fine.
Amazing. Thank you very much. So the next question is for Poppy, and that's what could we expect from Graduate Fashion Week? Because unfortunately, we couldn't attend this year, but obviously next year will be our Graduate Fashion Week. So what sort of things could we expect to come across when we go?
So Graduate Fashion Week is literally like amazing, basically. I'm so sad that the obviously third years this year aren't going to have that opportunity, but it is like such an amazing experience. What I would say is, like, in terms of advice, is just to like make the most out of everything there, really. I feel like for me especially, I'm quite shy, and so I didn't really make the most out of properly networking with people and talking to everyone, which is something I really regret. Like, as hard as it is when you're a bit like shy and self-conscious, it's so worth it just to push yourself and get yourself out there, because like it's the most important thing, really, something like that. There's so many people in one place. Even just talking to other students, like meeting different people and talking about their ideas, it's all good for you. Like, you're still going to bring on different people's ideas and get to know people, and you don't know where they might be. Like, you might get a connection, they might get a job, it all links together. Also, like, there's loads of competitions that run there, and there was one with Henry Holland for an internship at Debenhams, which I was like dragged to go to with the fashion design students, and I was like, no, I can't do it. Like, I'm so nervous. Like, don't make me do it. And they literally dragged me. And I remember waiting in line, and my stomach, I was like, I can't do this. Like, I'm so nervous. But I did it, and I didn't win the main competition, but Henry Holland liked my work so much, he asked me to go work with him instead. So, and just the idea of that, like, I so nearly didn't do it, and then I got this amazing opportunity, just literally proved to me how important it is to get yourself out there, because that wouldn't have happened if I listened to my instinct and ran away. But I just went with it, and it really paid off, and it was amazing. Also, I think what's really important, which I feel like not many people realise, is how important getting involved in the stuff before Graduate Fashion Week is. Like, for me, one of the most amazing things was working and like planning and preparing for it all together. And then when you're there and you see it all come together, it's just so much more meaningful, I think, like if you're actively involved in working for it. And then it's like a really good thing to make your class more of a community as well when you're all working together. It like really bonded us all. And then, it's just amazing when you see it all pay off. So, and I feel like most people would just think, oh, it's fine, I'll just go. But no, put the work in. Make sure you get your ideas across, and like with the stand design and stuff like that, because that's literally just as important. And then, that's what I have to say.
That's brilliant, Poppy, and I do remember how hard you and some of the other classmates worked on actually building the show that year. Ella, I just sort of throw this at you, because you came up with the concept, didn't you, that we went with last year actually for Graduate Fashion Week. How did you find it?
Yeah, so it was me and my friend Ethan, if anyone remembers. We come up with like supermarket sweep or something, or supermarket something like that. I think we were just like planning it, and we come up with the idea of like consumerism or something like that, and we had all these like plans, and we had like these big banners, and we said like graduates all must go, super sale or something. We all had our own. What did I have? I had like fish food section, and some people made like cereal boxes to like advertise themselves. But I think the same as like Poppy, I think it's such an experience, and it's so good as well to go like see everyone's like work from across like the board, because I think that's one thing I'd wish I'd done before I went into like third year, was to have a look at what other like students were doing across like the UK, because the standard is high. Like there were some people that were like renting out planes for photo shoots, and it was like, gee whiz, like cool, blimey. But it's really, really good. So if I'd say, I know that it's like cancelled this year, which like breaks my heart for everyone, honestly. But if you have a chance to like go through Instagram before going into third year and having a look at like everyone else's like work, when going on the Graduate Fashion Week page and having a look at everyone else's work, just to get like an idea of like what the standards like what's everyone up to, be a bit nosy. Or Georgia, having a nosy.
That's literally such a good point though. Like I remember going in my second year and looking at the work and being like, oh my God, like people are amazing. People make amazing work. Like this is the standard I need to make. And again, it obviously sucks for the third year that you guys now that you can't go and see that. But yeah, like look on the Graduate Fashion Week Instagram and see who they're featuring and stuff. And then find the best work and think like, right, that's what I need to do. Like I need to be that level.
Well, I'm going to pick on Poppy and Ella again, but I'm going to start with Ella. So in an industry that is so competitive, how do you make sure that you stand out?
Yeah, because I think that's quite like an interesting one, because like I'm not really like, if anyone's seen my work, I'm not really like sportswear to be like working with like a less, but I think definitely something that they like fed back to me when like my meetings with them is that I think you just have to be like happy. I know that sounds like so simple and like so easy, but they said to me that it was like, you have to go in with like a smile on your face, like everything that you're doing. Like sometimes they would be like, I was literally be there until like 8 o'clock, sorting through like sports bras and leggings, trying to find like this one pair for a photo shoot. And it's like, if I see another like sports bra, I'm going to lose my mind. But whenever anyone come over and be like, are you okay? I'm like, oh my God, I'm having the best time, like fashion, like living the dream. So I feel like that's something that I think that like they do really notice on. And I think that you do have to like really put like your effort in and really notice like the smaller things and where you can like exceed a bit. So like I remember there was this photo shoot and there was like someone on there who was a bit like stressed and everything. So I remembered what like his favorite snack was. So at break I like got him his favorite snack, and then it's just like little ways that you can like shine through. And I think it's just like let your personality shine. When you like are just out there happy to help, there with like a smile on your face, like, yeah, I'll do that, like no worries. I think that people really like notice that, and like don't be afraid to like stand out and ask for what you want. I know it sounds a bit like big-headed, but it's when you have to like, it's when I was going to CLS, I just walked in and was like, is there anything that I can do to like the boss man, like the big boss? I was like, is there any jobs going? Like, what can I do? Like really put yourself out there and like really try hard, because it is such a competitive field, fashion, and it is a nightmare. So just be there like early, like an hour before, ready to help, smile on your face. And I think that's like the best way, or at least in my opinion.
Yeah, and to go like the opposite way in terms of like thinking about sort of online stuff, I would say one thing that I really learned from the course was about making sure your Instagram and stuff is super, super professional and how you want to present yourself. And it obviously goes without saying not to post like loads of drunken pictures and stuff. But one thing that Fleur, I don't know if you remember how many, mentioned to me ages ago was that it wasn't my pictures on Instagram that was the problem. It was my friends' comments on them. And even being as thorough as to make sure your friends aren't commenting sort of these like little cheeky comments on there, because even that can look quite unprofessional. And so just like screen everything, even if it's in like obviously your friends having a laugh, but just make sure there's nothing like that on there, because people will look through it, and if they see something like that, they're going to be like, oh gee, like who's this? Also, like I think it's something I haven't done, and my biggest regret is not putting myself out there enough. Like I've started to do it recently, like commenting on people's work and stuff on Instagram and trying to make connections, and I've like had an increase in followers, an increase in engagement in my own posts and stuff, which has been really interesting to see how quickly it pays off. Actually, I've never done it before because again I'm a bit shy, but it works. Like why haven't I been doing it for years? So I think definitely try and build like sort of a little network of people with similar ideas and interests and like creative styles to you is a really good one. Also another thing that I've learned very recently was like I made a CV and I thought my CV was good, you know, And so I wasn't editing it, I wasn't updating it. And then I actually spoke to Louise from the careers advisor at PCA, because I wasn't getting any jobs. And she went through my whole CV with me. We edited it all. And I realized, like, I'd made a CV so long ago, and I've had grown so much and matured so much since then. Like, you need to be updating your CV constantly, because you're always getting better. And so which is another thing to mention, like, how amazing it is that we have that resource to go back to even when we graduate. Like, we still have PCA there for us. Like, we're so lucky. And then literally changed my CV, was sending off, and I got so many responses even in the first few weeks. I was going to interviews constantly, like my dream jobs. I mean, I didn't get them. That's not the point. Like, I was getting the interviews. Like, I went to like COS, I went to like Condé Nast. Like, it was amazing. And it's just like this thing I was stuck in my head, like, I've got a CV, I'm fine. Don't, like, keep updating it constantly. You're always getting better. I honestly think that's like one of the most important things I've learned recently, is that you're never the best. You can always do better and always keep developing. And yeah, also I'd say, like, for me, in terms of like applying for jobs, I got really disheartened when I wasn't hearing back, and so I stopped doing it for ages, which is so silly, because it's like, you're not going to get a job if you're not applying for anything. Like, you need to just keep doing it and keep trying, and at some point someone's going to meet with you and they're going to like you, and you'll get there. Like, that's something that I've really sort of realized lately, is like, not doing anything won't get you anywhere. Just keep trying and you know, hope for the best. Yeah, that's about it, really. Sorry, I like really blabbered then, but
No, that was really good advice, actually. So thank you very much. So my last question's for Jemima and then Georgia. So is there anything you would have done differently in your third year? And do you have any final advice for us before we go into our third year, or even after our third year?
So my biggest advice would be document absolutely everything that you do. Even if you're doing a piece of work and you don't think it's really relevant or doesn't necessarily fit into the aesthetic that you're trying to do, just put it in there, put it in your research file. You just never know when you might need to refer back to that. There's stuff that I did in my third year that I put onto this sort of website document that I sort of presented as part of my final project, that I thought, oh no, it's not great, I'll just put it in there, but I might not need it. But actually I'm constantly referring to it now, and you just don't know where that might take you or how it might develop your idea. I don't think I would have done anything differently, mainly because it's really guiding me now, and it's taken me really far. So everything that I did 4 years ago is still so relevant, and it's helping me massively. And my other advice would probably be not to stress about what your classmates are doing. I remember the first 2 months of my third year, I just felt so stressed that I wasn't doing a magazine, and I wasn't doing, this massive photo shoot like everybody else was doing. And I didn't feel like I was on their level, and I wasn't kind of up to scratch. But actually, you just have to take a breather, have a step back, and have a think about what your strengths are. And really think about ways that you can collaborate with other people. You're not going to be good at everything. I'm not particularly good at making a magazine, but there are people in my class that were absolutely incredible at making magazines. And I wish that if I could go back, maybe collaborate a little bit more, and just play to each other's strengths, because when you sort of combine incredible minds together, something amazing happens. And I'm starting to learn that now, with setting up Elan. Just draw on people's strengths, because you will create something incredible.
I definitely agree with what you were saying earlier as well, about not comparing yourself to other students. I think everyone's projects are so different. Even if there's 2 people or 3 people or all of you making a magazine, they're all going to be so different. I remember right before, I think it was coming to the last few weeks, and I was like, my project is so different to what everyone else is doing, and I was like, well, everyone else is better in this way, in this way, in this way. And then I actually came up with a really good grade, even though I thought I wasn't as good as everyone else. So I think don't compare your project to anyone else's, just focus on what you're doing. And then my main bit of advice is just keep interning if you have the means to and the time to. Obviously, make sure you're prioritizing your dissertation and your final major project. But if you have the time, please keep interning, because there are so many employers. It sounds quite bad, but they might not employ you if you've not been active in industry recently. I know that's something that my employer has brought up about not hiring people previously, because they've maybe done one internship a year ago for a module, and although that's great, it doesn't necessarily show that you've taken the initiative to go out there and do something outside of what your uni requires you to do, and to show that you're active in industry currently. And I'm not being funny, but now is the perfect time to do it because every internship is remote. So you don't have to spend the money to go to London if it's an unpaid internship. You don't have to pay for your lunch or your travel. Everything is remote. So do it now while you can, because there's so many more opportunities out there, I think.
Okay, for those who maybe didn't manage to get an internship, like what advice could you give? Like what could they still work on instead, maybe?
Well, I did do I have done a few internships, but nothing really solid, I wouldn't say, that's like been for a long period of time. But I think, mate, like you can still do stuff like with doing Tart in my magazine in that period. That was sort of making my own internship. Like I literally created a job role for myself and did a whole zine in the summer. And I was my own boss. It was amazing. Like you can still make little projects and you can still work on stuff yourself. And I think like, again, that is still taking initiative to do something else. Like not everyone, I couldn't afford at the time to be going to London every day doing these really expensive things. And so that's just something you can do from your bedroom. You can do it you can interview people on FaceTime. You can message people on Instagram that you like their work and feature it. Like it's just something that you can do yourself. Obviously, I'm not saying just do a magazine, but just as an example, like I do think there is still things you can do. But again, I would say one of my biggest regrets is not doing more internships. People won't hire you unless you have loads of experience. Like it's a bit rubbish for me, but you know, it's true. So I still think, you know, get out there and still do internships, but you can do stuff at home even so.
Something you can do at home as well if you're really struggling to find an internship. I know loads of people that have been doing like online courses and just things that you can do to like further your skills. So I'm actually doing one at the moment and it's like just digital marketing. So it's like all the kind of SEO, Google Analytics stuff that you might not learn at uni. So like there's loads out there and so many companies are doing free ones now that used to cost like hundreds and hundreds of pounds just purely because of coronavirus. So I'd say if you're struggling to get internships, you can still do things to further your CV that aren't going to cost you anything as well.
Yeah, so oh, sorry.
No, you can go. It's fine.
I was just going to say, there's literally so many to speak to that. Like I've been doing loads of the MoMA ones and stuff, like in art history, just to like expand further on your knowledge. And that's such a good point. Like they're really handy.
Cool, thank you. I guess just throwing this out to anyone who wants to answer it. How are you staying motivated now, and how do you stay motivated, especially during third year where it's quite difficult and you're thinking about leaving uni? I think a lot of the second years now are sort of bothered about having to get a job and leaving everyone. So how do you stay motivated?
I don't know. I don't even know how I did it looking back. Like I keep looking back at the work I did and I'm like, girl, like you did well. That's a lot of stuff. But I think it's just literally finding something you're passionate about and it doesn't feel like work. Like I would spend hours sat there doing collages and interviewing people and writing stuff up. And it was very rare for it to feel like, this is horrible. I hate this. I can't do it. Because I enjoyed it. So I think it's just a testament to the fact you need to choose something you love. Like, and I think the fact we've all chosen a course like this shows that we are interested in the topic. So you just have to find something that works for you, I think. And just I'm obsessed with lists. So I make lists of things you need to do every day and just tick it off. Even like stupid small things I do, like make a title page, which doesn't seem like it's a big job, but just the satisfaction of ticking off makes you more encouraged to keep doing stuff and keep working on it. Like no task is too small to put on a list. Like I swear to God. But yeah, that's me.
Same as Poppy as well. I made so many lists, but also set yourself deadlines for yourself, if that makes sense. So when I was doing my projects, I had my digital platform, my magazine, and my marketing campaign, and I set myself little deadlines. So, okay, I want the magazine done by February. I want the whole online platform finished by like May. I don't know, random months. But you just like kind of set yourself a little deadline, and it just motivates you to get it done a bit quicker, I think. And talk to people as well. I know obviously right now in the current climate we can't really like have study groups or anything like that, but you can FaceTime people and bounce your ideas off of each other, even like your friends. Like it doesn't need to be like everyone in your course. just chat to people, chat to your mum, your dad, like throw ideas out there and just see what other people think
as well. Like, just stay like motivated, especially during like third year. It's so hard because I'm not a big writer. Anyone who like knows me is like, I'm more like visual, but when it comes to actually sitting down and writing like a promotional campaign or something like that, I'm like, oh my goodness. So what I tried to do with it was try to make like every aspect of it like a bit fun. So like my like promotional campaign, it was like you open it up and I had, sounds really silly, I had these like scratch and sniff stickers. So like I'd put them in throughout like my promotional campaign. So it was like you could go along and like give a little scratch, oh, like marshmallows, or like, oh, something great. It's just like something really stupid, but it just made me like happy and just like, yeah, I'll chuck them in, like make it a bit fun. Like I feel like, again, that's like the beauty of like this course is that you can really go weird with it and you can really go like have fun. So that's how I like stay motivated. It's like just make everything a little bit fun.
Just to kind of echo what everyone said, really, I remember in my third year just being so kind of lost with what I was doing and not feeling necessarily confident in my idea initially, that I was kind of close to thinking about deferring the year because I was quite, obviously my personal life was quite difficult, and I didn't know kind of where I was going with the idea. But I think when you find something that you can't stop doing, that you physically get up in the morning and there's a fire in your belly and you're like, I have to get this done today. This is so inspiring. I feel like I'm making a difference. I feel like I'm doing something really good. Then you will be motivated because, you know, it was quite tough for me in my third year to kind of stay on track, meet all my deadlines, also look after my mum as well. But honestly, when you find something that you're super passionate about, you will definitely stay motivated. You just kind of get that feeling that you're on the right track.
That's great, girls. Thank you so much for those really positive tips there and ways to keep motivated. So I expect all my second years to have a fire in their belly from now on. I think that would be really great if they did. They do. Anyway, great year. I'd just like to kind of round up by sort of, actually, it's something that Georgia was just saying about the lockdown and the pandemic, the effects that are having on you. So, like Georgia, you said that you're furloughed at the moment. I just wondered if you guys had opinions on, you know, how that's affected the marketing, media, and fashion industries that you're working in, and maybe what skills people might be looking at our students, our graduates, you know, in just over a year's time, for them to have, you know, with the change in the industries. Georgia, do you want to go first?
Yeah, definitely. So obviously, like I said, I'm on furlough at the moment, and it's because our marketing team, it wasn't right for us to continue marketing in the current climate because everyone's supposed to be going to the shops for essential items only. So it would be so wrong for us to say, oh, we've got a patio furniture and like home decor on sale, like 50% off. Like, no, like that's not right. Like we can't do it. It's putting people at risk at the end of the day. So we made the right decision to kind of put us on furlough. But the people that are not on furlough currently, that I work with, they're the guys on the web team, they're the guys on some of the buying teams. But in terms of marketing, if you have SEO knowledge, Google analytics knowledge, anything more digital, then that's going to benefit you so much, because everything's going digital now. So even shops that are closed, they're still like running their online websites and things like that. So if you can kind of get those skills, those like quite stuff that you wouldn't necessarily learn on the fashion media and marketing course, you might have to go a bit further and dig a bit deeper, again, like with the whole online courses, and get some proper like in-depth skills, even things like coding and things like that. That would be so beneficial for the future, I think. But yeah, focus on your digital skills, I would say.
I think it will actually change what we're teaching. And, you know, we had a panel group last week and I asked them sort of similar questions. So absolutely, this, this is for me, really, this question. Does anybody else want to come in on that, on what Jem?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really spoken that much about me working at Plymouth College of Art, but I work in the branding team, and I'm kind of in charge of the communications that go out to applicants and our potential future students as well. And I have completely had to rip up my plan for all of my emails and my communications and start a new plan, which is about how do we target them digitally? How do we engage with potential new students and our applicants, and make sure that they get as much as they would from PCA if they were coming to visit us. So I think for employers, they are going to be looking for flexibility, and for you to always have a plan B. We didn't have a plan B, so we're still kind of muddling through, doing as much as we can to make it as accessible as we possibly can. And I think you just have to be willing to change your plan at a moment's notice. But otherwise, hopefully we never have anything like this sort of in the future. But I think for forward planning, it's always good to have a second option, just in case anything were to happen again.
So I think that in terms of like being like adaptable is like such like I think that businesses are going to look for in like potential people, because I feel like this has been such like a so I know that in like a less everything was like up in the air for a bit, because we were going to have like a physical launch where we were going to like set everything up, and now everything's going digital. So like Georgia said, I think that it's really important to have like that knowledge of like digital things as well, because that's where like everything's going to be like headed nowadays.
So real change in consumer behaviour and the way that we engage, because we had been talking very much, experiential had been like the sort of buzzword, hadn't it, in marketing, and, adding value to going to places and shared experiences and all those things. And I think now is the time to think about how you can still have those qualities, but online. And I think with so many people having to be digital, they're kind of finding those ways for themselves, I suppose. Poppy, do you want to add anything on that?
I don't really have anything proper to say, but I read something really interesting on Man Repeller the other day, and she was talking about like throwing away the idea of going back to normal, and it's just this whole sentiment of like, we can't go back, we can only go forward. I think there's something really comforting in that right now, the fact that like everything's going to change, but we're moving towards something new, something different. And that is, depending on how you look at it, obviously everything's terrible right now, but you can see it's exciting. It is a massive period of change, and you just need to sort of like make the most of that, really, and try not to think of it as like, oh my God, everything's changed, and think of it more like everything's going to change again. We'll still be here. We'll still be fine. Like, just keep working hard, and hopefully it'll be okay, I guess. I don't know. I found it comforting, but now I'm repeating it. I feel like it's really just like not that comforting. Yeah.
I completely agree with Poppy, and I was just going to say as well, things that are going to completely change, but it could be a really exciting thing. And something that's come up to me a lot is that a lot of companies are now going to be working from home so much more. So I think for your CVs and things like that, it's so important to show that you're self-sufficient and self-motivated, and that you don't need hand-holding in your work, and that you don't need to communicate with your boss all the time. You can kind of manage your own projects and be very self-sufficient. If you can show that, you're probably more likely to be hired, because then even if we get a second wave of this pandemic, third wave, fourth wave, and we have to go into lockdown again, they can trust you to do your job from home.
Great stuff, thank you. So Molly and Natalie, are we at the end of your questions, or is there anything else?
I think I have anything more to ask, so I think we are done.
Okay, lovely. I'd like to thank Natalie and Molly for the work that they did in sort of collating those questions, putting them together, and being wonderful chairs for our live stream today. And really loads of thanks to everybody on our panel as well, to Ella and Georgia and Jem and Poppy. Thank you so much. It's been really great to hear your advice. It's really sort of super specific, and I think second years that are looking at going into the third years get a lot from it, but I think our wider community will as well, and everybody that's sort of joined us to hear you talk. So thank you so much, and good luck, and it's brilliant to see you all.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's been really fun. I've actually learnt loads from you guys as well, so thank you.
Yeah, same.
Lots of tips.